Wow, what an episode tonight. I mean, did you guys feel the same thing that I felt? Like this really was a gut punch.
An emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's the first one that really pulled up my heartstrings in the Orville, so.
Yeah, same here, man. All right, but without further ado, let's, hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to another Nerdporial After Show. We are talking about the Orville Episode 5, or Orville Season 3, Episode 5, called A Tale of Two Topas. And this is probably the most emotional episode I've ever had to deal with. So without further ado, why am I echoing? Does somebody have the YouTube on or something?
Well, mine is on, but the sound is down.
Yeah, mine's off. My sound is off.
Okay. But without further ado, let's say hello to returning guest Nate Knows. What's up, Nate?
What's up? Live long and prosper. All four of this crowd, Jaloja. So, what were your first initial takes on this episode? Here's a little nitpick I have, and it involves Charlie.
Okay.
Charlie has too much screen time because she's Seth MacFarlane's girlfriend.
Oh, is that what? Oh, is that? Is that what's going on now?
Yeah. She has too much screen time because she's Seth MacFarlane's girlfriend. She's involved in things that she really shouldn't be involved, and it's not a time where she's not on the screen where she doesn't have a line. Oh. I've been noticing that in all the other episodes too.
Okay.
Man, he likes the younger women.
You're echoing.
He should never dip his pen in company ink. I'm telling you, it's going to backfire on him.
Yeah. Well, for the first time, we have Jed, the Hollywood scholar here. What's up?
Not much. I'm really excited to be here. I love the show. Let's talk about it with you guys.
And Jed, I want your room.
It's a lot of stuff. It's mostly pretty easy to put together, but this is my pride. I'm trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Are you guys hearing an echo too, or is it just me?
Yeah, I hear it. I muted myself just to make sure it wasn't me, and I can still hear you talking, so it's out for me.
Okay.
Checking it. Yeah.
Let me mute myself so you can check.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself too.
Hello? Yeah, I'm good. I can't hear any echo now.
All right, so yeah, there's no echo with you and me. Yeah. No,
okay, I'm gonna unmute.
Oh, it's with Nate, I think. Yeah, it's
sound check.
Is it me?
It looks like it.
Okay.
Is it?
You sure?
Okay. Mute Nate.
Okay, I'm on mute.
Hello? Testing 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, it's gone.
All right. Okay, it's gone. Yeah.
We found our caller.
It's me.
Yeah.
So let me see what I'm going to do here. Let me see if I can. I'm going to jump out and jump back in. I'm going to jump out and jump back in. Okay.
Okay.
I'll be gone in a second.
All right, and we got another. We got we lost one, but we got another. One for another. We got Mike, Pacific 414. So, Mike, what did you think of tonight's
solid episode?
Absolutely
solid episode.
Like the crying felt earned for once. Like it was unlike a certain a certain season of a certain what they call a Star Trek show where they cry all the time. This one, the viewer actually feels emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I felt emotional at several points during this episode.
Yes. And for the first time joining the cast of, or joining the Nerdporial Orville After Show, DJ Ronnie G. What's up, DJ Ronnie G? Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Good evening. I'm taking it easy, and well, I'm just glad that they actually, went in the direction of beginning to deal with, tensions between Bortus and what's his face. So, I don't want to spoil anything. Yep, Mr. Clive. Yep.
Well,
okay. Am I still echoing?
No,
I think you're good.
You're great now. So we're gonna according like I said in my opening, we are gonna spoil the crap out of this episode. So if you haven't watched the episode, go and watch the episode. I demand it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And so I wanted before we get into this, I want to say hello to the chat. So first off, we have Phantom Outsider. He says, "Hail." He says, "Was that Ensign Bill Mummy? Because it sounded like him. I wasn't sure who that was or what. I didn't even
definitely
get a
sounded
name.
familiar.
Yeah, it sounded like Bill Mummy to me, but I thought it was a lieutenant.
Well, she thought it was the lieutenant, and then he's like, "No, I'm an ensign." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot your uniform's not on, so I couldn't check your bars."
Yes, I didn't get the character's name, and I think he was too tall for Bill Mummy. Bill Mummy's a small guy. He's not a big guy.
Yeah, he definitely sounded familiar though. I feel like he was an intentional cameo.
Okay. And then we got Peter Parker. Oh my God, Peter Parker's here. The one in Friendly Neighborhood. Well, I can't reveal what he is because it'd be malproductive. We got the Fuppets here. What's up? How you doing? Hola. He says echo. I don't know what that means. There was no echo. It never happened.
Yeah, no.
Ruben says, "Hey, wow. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Well, we'll get to that. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, this was an amazing episode. Mm-hmm. And he says the Orville is the show we always wanted. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Phantom says, well, now that Isaac's suicide has even more context. So, you guys ready to get into this episode?
Oh, so ready.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, this episode, Tale of Two Topas. So, very first thing that we see is a massive temple on another desert planet. Wow. I don't care, though. Ed is basically writing letters. We learned there's a little bit of a follow-up to last episode. Ed is writing letters to Anaya because, there might be a chance he might see her again. And he wants to write these letters so that she can feel that he was there when he was actually absent. So and Kelly's just like, wow, you never cease to amaze me or surprise me or whatever.
So, I love that they brought that back in. That was such a great moment. Just a small throwaway thing that really didn't affect the rest of the episode, but was really good for character.
Yeah, good for character, and it's very. I love continuity. Something that like a lot of writers don't consider now because they think people will just eat up whatever comes out, and that's not true. So
well, especially with this episode, there's so much continuity. It's like picking up after so many random different episodes, references to random episodes. Like you need to watch the whole show to really get everything for this episode, and it's the first time I felt that way with this show.
And when we eventually get to it, I'm curious if they closed out a particular. I'm wondering if they closed out an entire arc because of this, but we'll get into that discussion later. So, going back, so we find out that Charlie's been mapping the inside of this temple. And they find a hidden chamber. And, of course, the chamber is basically they say it's a burial room, but it's rigged with booby traps. Well, let's just say Isaac basically pushes a recess or pushes like a big button into the wall, and all of a sudden all these quarrels, all these arrows just come out of the wall, and they hit him, and he gets hit right into the temple. I cannot think that is so original. I've never seen that in any movie that came out 41 years ago that would ever do such a thing. And wasn't it a unique scene? Like, wasn't it
so unique?
Like, seriously, like I like wow, the originality. But of course, I'm talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. I was thinking, where's Isaac's fedora?
Yeah, and his mustache. Isaac had a fedora and a mustache. This room, this space is not accommodating for all of us.
The sum total.
I forgot how he put it exactly.
The sum total of our masses.
Yeah.
Numerical values.
Yeah. So they go in, and Kelly says, "Jackpot," and we see what looks like. It made me think of Indiana Jones 4 with all the treasure in that temple and that I don't know if it was a Mayan temple or something, but there's all like treasure, and they get all this, there's all these artifacts there, and so we end up finding out that this is from from an empire called the Heblesite Empire, whatever. That's how I wrote it. Heblesite Empire, 70,000 years old, equivalent to ancient Egypt. And apparently, Charlie loves archaeology because no other Star Trek character ever liked archaeology, right? So,
no, I can't think of a single one.
Well, at least one that's currently has his own show doesn't. Like they could have went there, but they didn't.
Rhymes with Icard.
I don't think there's any show for any Star Trek. There hasn't been a Star Trek show since 2005, I thought.
I agree.
My understanding.
Yeah. To my recollection, that seems right.
Yeah.
Last Star Trek I watched was what? Nemesis?
No argument there.
Enterprise.
No argument there. Yeah, so we find out that they're the equivalent to ancient Egypt and all that. So we get to what the next scene is, what really drives the rest of this episode. So we see a Moclan. We see a Moclan bridge, basically a Moclan ship fighting a bunch of Kaylon. And we find out that it's a simulation and that the Moclan ship was destroyed. And we find out that Topa is the one that is in command. And of course, Topa now has a different actor or actress now. So I thought I was like, is that Topa? Because it didn't sound like Topa. Because Topa, I think, had a young boy as an actor. But so now but for the sake of this episode, they recast the character. They aged him up and made it had a female actress play Topa this time, which I think is appropriate.
Yeah, no, I think they should have been a little bit more explicit on the timeline because, it seemed like they aged up Topa at least 6 to 8 years. So, like, is their evolution that much faster? Has it really been that long within the show? Like, I like to have an idea of the timeline. It's like, oh yeah, they age twice as fast as a human, so you can kind of.
I'll say Topa is the Alexander of the Orville because Brian Bonsall played Alexander in Next Generation, but it wasn't the only time he played a character that had to age for the sake of the show. He also aged in Family Ties. Because the Keatons had a baby, I think in like the third or fourth season, and then like a season or two later, they aged him up to be like 4 years old when he should be like 1 or 2. so I'll say that not only the Alexander of the show, but the Brian Bonsall.
I would say they aged like a soap opera's child, because in the soap opera you have a kid, a baby, one episode, the very next day he's 5 or 6.
Well, like sands through the hourglass, sword, the days of our lives. Okay, that's a soap opera. That's a soap opera.
Yeah, I get the
rest. 60 years. Who would have known? So, all right. So So Topa. So Kelly comes in. Kelly's done with all the archaeology and stuff. She's just like, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with this.
Can I just say, Kelly looked really good in her workout clothes.
I was thinking the same thing. Okay, I'm glad somebody else said it first because I nearly wrote that down in my notes.
Yeah,
I was like, looking good, Kelly.
Yes, and we get to see what Kelly's really capable of in this episode. So, so
in a lot of different ways.
So Kelly finds Topa there, and Topa's like she's like, what happened? She's like, what happened to you? And like, she's like, well, Topa's like, I want to be like you. I've been doing the Kaylon simulator, which I swear does not make me think of another simulation that has anything to do with someone named Kobayashi. I guess I thought of that for some reason. Forgive me for those thoughts in my head. But I just couldn't help but think of that. The no-win scenario. I'm not sure if that was designed to be a no-win scenario, but it looked like it was. So, I mean, you're up against Kaylon. Good luck with that. Yeah. So Topa, we learned that Topa lasts about 7 minutes in the simulator, which is really good performance for a beginner who has no experience with, command or with any knowledge of union procedures and regulations. So Kelly's impressed. And we find out that a goal of Topa is to take the examination to join the Union Point, to join Union Point to become an officer. And Kelly offers to help. She says, maybe we'll start. You can start by shadowing me. and we find out that Bortus is okay with it, and and that's basically how the episode opens. So we learned that Topa wants to become part of the Union. So, and I thought this was going to be about that, but it actually turned out to be not to be about that. Ultimately, we find out why she wants to why she wants this. So any comments before we go on?
So I know it's. Oh, you go ahead. I've been tying on.
No, go ahead.
Just real fast. I always like to highlight these parts of the episode, and they're not always important. But every time that they mention how they're explorers or archaeologists first, and how excited they are to explore, just reminds me of why the show is the sequel to Star Trek. At the beginning they're going all Indiana Jones, loving the excitement, the exploration, and like in the past episodes, they've had great lines that have been like, "Hey, we're explorers first, even if we're in wartime." And I always appreciate that consistent through line, even though it has no overall impact to the story. I always like to mention it, and it seems such a casual thing, but nowadays it's more important for consistency than it would otherwise be.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. So lack of music in this episode was everything that the emotions made the music. Was there when was there a lack of music? I'm trying.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lack of music in this episode.
There were a few scenes that normally would have it, like especially when Bortus was crying. I didn't hear any music, but there were still soundtrack to the episode. Like there were, of course, the big sweeping orchestra in the wide shots or whatever. But I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay, and before we go on, we got our final guest. He came all the way from Vulcan. He took that shuttle, that shuttle from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. He took that shuttle, and he's here right now. Let's welcome the one and only Mr. Spock himself.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I have a question, Spock. What does God need with a starship?
Absolutely nothing. What an episode! I was 30 minutes late into watching it because it released at 9 and I was able to come home at 9:30 and watch it, but I'm happy I'm able to join here. So what did I miss so far in the discussion?
Oh, we just talked about we just got into the very first scene that leads up to the opening of the episode. So to the temple, Topa doing his thing on the bridge or in the simulator, and Kelly offering to help.
And Kelly looking good.
And Kelly looking
good.
And of course, all the Indiana Jones stuff that we see in the temple, especially with Isaac. Isaac taking the brunt of all the quarrels and arrows that are, all the booby traps that are going on. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. Do you have? I was curious. Like we were just talking about like our reactions because I was late too. Like I had to pause to take notes and stuff, so it took me a little bit longer too. So I was just curious what your overall initial thoughts on this episode are, Spock. Before we go on.
Well, yeah, not to spoil too much when we get into the scenes, but this episode was amazing. It was a breath of, like I say this whole time, it's been a breath of fresh air to finally have some great storytelling and, some good character development. And I was wondering if we'd ever see Topa in this season and any development on her. And we did, and this was the episode, and I was really satisfied with it. And it's almost, we have characters like Wesley, a kid aboard a starship, and he was kind of unintentionally, he was very cringy as initial release, but I have to say Topa doesn't give me that impression. I actually really like her character, and I want to see more if she ever decides to enlist in the Union, because she seems to have that interest.
Yeah, I said earlier that Topa is basically the Alexander or the Brian Bonsall of the Orville because of the way she aged, or we'll say he aged, in like just the last year.
Yeah,
from being a young child to already being an adolescent.
It's something I want to bring up because Mocklins, I guess we don't know their physiology too much. They really just age.
Aliens can age faster. That's why live longer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up too, because they are Mocklin and they live in such a harsh environment. Normally, they probably don't stay babies very long. They're babies, they're adolescents, and teenagers and then probably full adults much quicker than human beings because they live in an environment where being a little kid running around wouldn't be healthy.
Yeah, and also the fact that we're talking about a child who was born from an egg, so we have no knowledge about what these kinds of people are capable of, and that's the fun part because we're gonna keep learning about that as the show goes on.
And where did the egg come from? I mean, how's that the first thing you ask?
Egg comes from the chicken, duh.
That's one of life's many mysteries.
But Ruben says Halston Sage was back. Was she? I did not. Was
I
she
didn't
on
keep
the
a
guest
keen
star?
eye. I'll keep a lookout next time I rewatch it.
She wasn't Topa, was she? I don't know who else. Well, I guess we'll find out. Ruben, elaborate. All right, so let's begin. Let's get into the next scene after the credits. So Topa comes by Kelly's office, and then they begin their shadowing. So she shows him the daily rounds. First, they go to security, and there's a naked Belkarian. So we get to see some naked man butt. We get to see the naked man butt. Alien naked blue man butt. So.
And did he
have talk
hair
about
with
that
his
hair
ass?
patch?
Yeah, he had hair with his ass.
They're like the one thing that she said that they have to deal with is cultural clash. So she has to deal with all that with the crew, and she basically tells Ensign Bolivar, that's his name, to put on clothes. He's like, well, it's against my religion to have clothes on the first day.
The first of every month.
So okay, like she's like, let's compromise. Come on, let's compromise. Put on some pants. He's like, done. Okay, compromise. So, I thought that was. I was like, oh, like okay. There was a little humor. There's humor in this season. So okay, but let's keep going because they had no bearing on the episodes. Just wanted to be there. So they go to engineering and they give report, and the rest of the engineering, we got to see Yaphet briefly, and they're like, hey, Topa, we hope you succeed in whatever you want to do. It's awesome that you want to do this and be part of this. And I love seeing positivity. I love seeing encouragement from other members of the crew. That's what makes the Orville, as likable as the characters from Star Trek. I wish I could say the same about the stuff that comes out now, but we will not talk about that because maybe some people might really like it. So, so we find out that Topa wants to be just like Kelly. He feels a connection to Kelly. Just wants to be just like her, and so we learned from that Kelly loves to take the reason why she joined the service was because she loved to take responsibility. She would take any opportunity she would volunteer any opportunity to have any responsibility, look after kids or take care of whatever. And then at the same time, and then I think at the same time, she also loves to help others. So that's what led her to Union Point to become ultimately first officer. And what we find out here is heartbreaking. What basically drives the rest of this episode. We find out that Topa feels incomplete at home, and perhaps among the stars, he could probably feel more complete. And he doesn't sleep well. Ultimately, he's not happy. And so this really makes Kelly concerned. Mm-hmm. So she goes to Claire and Ed, and she interrupts a conversation between Claire and Ed in his office. Ed's asking how Isaac's doing, and she says that his standing with the crew is improving. And let's just say Kelly walks in and tells them what Topa told her, and that Topa is feeling a conflict, female to male, and Kelly figured this out right away. Kelly feels horrible because of what happened about a girl, and they need to talk to. They decide to go and talk to Bortus and Clyden about this. So I was like, oh, this is good. I was like, wow. I was like, where's this gonna? I was like, where exactly is this gonna go? Are they gonna succeed? And are Are they going to bring the Mocklins into this? Is the temple going to have some magical effect or something? I was curious where they were going to go with this. But what, like we learned, learning about this about Topa was very heartbreaking for me. So basically we go forward with so Kelly basically walks in and tells Clyden and Bortus they're having dinner about Topa, and Kelly's trying so hard to be she's trying so hard to not push boundaries with especially with parents. And I mean, I could think of and one thing this episode does kind of goes into a little bit, or made me think maybe it's because allegory. It's because I pay attention to too many things now that allegory is hard to not think about other things. But like the whole issue with parents and schools and stuff. I don't want to go too deep into this, but it made me think of that parallel.
Well, the perfect response, because that debate is going to be had with this episode, and it's valid to a certain extent. But I've always stated that I'm okay with stuff that I don't agree with, like allegories I don't agree with, as long as it's well written. And this episode was incredibly well written with some very well-rounded characters, so that makes it okay for me. Like my favorite TV show, Doctor Who, has so much of allegory and politics that I disagree with even in its heyday, but it was so well written that's going to be my defense of this episode. It's not just message first, nothing else matters. It's still character and story first. So
it's not woke. It's not woke because woke is all meshes and no character and no story.
This message has a lot of substance to it that we can, as an audience, we can understand the characters. And not just feel like, oh, this writing was simply forced to push a status quo.
Exactly.
And it did it in such a way that's very similar to how classic Star Trek did stuff like this, where they wouldn't recreate exact scenarios that they were trying to make allegories for. They'd sometimes inverse it or make it insane. Like in classic Star Trek, one of my favorite episodes is that one where they have the racism part, where it's the species, half of them are right side or black, half are left side, and then the opposite. Like that seems insane to us, but they did a racism episode allegory in a very neat way because it just seems so insane.
Yeah, it wasn't, and the thing is, it wasn't just about racism. I mean, even though it's obvious in some ways, but it wasn't just, to me, it wasn't just about racism. It was about hatred in general. Hatred of anything different from you. So I could think, Israeli and Palestinian, Turk and Armenian. I mean, it could be anything.
Absolutely.
It could be any pair of people that hate each other. And the whole episode was simply about them telling Kirk beckoning them to drop their hate. They didn't shame them, but they said. But I mean, Scotty in a line said it's nothing describes them better than being disgusting. But then Kirk is just like, there's more to it. And then at the end of the episode, Kirk is begging them to let go, and they can't. That's what made the episode so dark and compelling.
I mean, the whole planet was destroyed, and these two, the last remaining beings of their world, still couldn't let go of their hate. They had to go back down to the planet and die with the rest of their people.
Yeah,
that's ignorance.
Such a great episode.
Absolutely. Yep.
I can see parallels between that episode and this episode being made in that way, at least, that it's still doing it in a very compelling way, whether or not you agree with it. And it did a very good job, in my opinion, at least in this episode. And just like I was saying, it doesn't demonize anyone in the conversation. It tries to balance a lot of different things, change the scenarios and the variables in the situation where you can't make any direct correlations. So it's not a message. It's an allegory at best.
Yeah.
Well, they do demonize one person. We'll talk about him later.
A person, not a side of the argument. But he kind of deserves. I've been waiting for him to leave forever.
Same here.
That was one of my predictions for this season.
I clapped.
Yeah. So.
It's like finally.
Yeah.
I really hoped he'd actually shot that guy in the previous season, the Mocklin we were talking about backstage, the one who was straight. It's like, please have been the one who shot him so we can just get rid of him. It's like one of those love to hate or like hate to love characters.
I found myself several times saying, "Shut up, Clyden."
Yeah, I remember the last time. You know how that episode ended? It ended with Tala telling Clyden to go to hell. That's how the episode. That was the last thing that was said in that episode. Tala tells Clyden to go to hell. That you had to make me do this.
That was a sad episode.
Yeah, because she was the one that had to find him, and because he was hiding, because the straight Mocklin was hiding, and Tala finds him, and he had to go back to Mocklin and stand trial. And she hates Clyden for what she had to do and stuff. So, that was like these Mocklin episodes are very emotional. I was expecting a little bit. I was hoping to see the Mocklins themselves. I was expecting the Mocklins to leave the Union, but I'll just say with what was happened, that might not be the case now. So
they got lucky.
Well, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because all my favorite episodes of television, just in general, all my favorite stuff is character driven rather than plot driven. That's why Electric Sheep is my favorite episode of the Orville overall, and so this one's actually a close second because it is so character driven. There is zero action, but that doesn't detract from the episode. It's just good characters.
I like character driven. I like character driven stuff, but there has to be a little bit of stuff to move.
There's not much of it
too.
Yeah,
it makes it more exciting, at least for me.
Of course.
That's what made Deep Space Nine fantastic.
Yeah, and I have to say that Adrian Palicki, this is probably the best acting she's done in anything. I've watched her through many different TV shows and movies throughout the years, throughout her entire career. This is her best acting she's ever done in anything.
Yeah, this was her episode. Like,
and I think we all, when we get to it, I can't wait to talk about that scene when we get to it, because that was just, I know exactly which one you're talking about, Nate, because that was her key moment in the Orville.
Her and Bortus did a really good job.
Yeah, too.
Yeah, Peter Macon did a wonderful job in this episode.
He tugged at some heartstrings here. I almost cried.
I did too. It's such a great move. But I've seen her in a lot of other stuff too, and I would agree that this episode is her best. I mean, Supernatural, she wasn't given much, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was shit by the end of her run, so.
Yeah, she was even given more in Supernatural than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's what's sad.
Okay, I haven't seen any of those shows, so I don't know.
Supernatural is worth it. I love Supernatural.
Yeah, it's when season
15.
8. Season 8 for me personally is when it gets a little bit too much with the angels and demons.
Yeah,
it changes. It definitely changes at that point.
I think I've only seen the very first episode of Supernatural when it first came out.
Good.
I was working.
It's really
good. I was working 2 jobs when it first came out.
I said a long time ago.
I love all 15 seasons.
Yeah, the show itself is solid. Because I said a long time ago, I'd love to have those two on the Orville. It's like, I don't know, some engineering staff or something. They'd be just perfect.
A reunion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
a reunion. That would be great.
They're great actors too, and I know he's killing it as Soldier Boy on The Boys right now.
Yeah, Jensen Ackles.
Yeah.
Little tangent there, but I love that show.
Yeah, I gotta watch. I have to watch The Boys. I heard there's nothing but good things about this new season. So
I've heard very conflicting things, and I hated the first 2 episodes. I couldn't keep going. So.
Oh, I haven't watched The Boys either. But then again, I just got Amazon Prime this past weekend. I watched Vox Machina, which is a hell of a cool cartoon. I watched Reacher, which is an excellent show. I binge watched that sucker. I watched the whole season last night and this morning.
Yeah. Reacher's a great Reacher's a great series. I can't wait to see the next season. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's get back into this. So we're now at the point where we see Clyden for the first time this season. So it's been 3.5 years since we see Clyden. So hey,
wasn't long enough.
Apparently. So Bortus and Clyden are eating dinner, and Kelly comes in, and Clyden offers her food, and of course, right away, Clyden does not like the fact that she's there. There's already some tension in the room without any dialogue. Just by I forget the actor's name who plays Clyden. He's also in The Expanse and Walking Dead.
Chad Coleman.
Chad Coleman. Okay, Chad Coleman. Just the way he looks at her, the eyes and stuff. You knew there was a lot of hatred. There was a lot of hatred there. So,
and she was trying to ask a simple question about the food. He goes, "It's the green one."
Yeah, exactly.
Johnson.
So, So Kelly comes in, and then she tells them, she talks to them about telling Topa that he was born female. And Clyden interjects right away, saying, "Yes, it is inappropriate." And Bortus just tells him to shut up. Bortus just yells at him to shut up. And yes, Bortus confirms that they have talked, and they still don't feel that the time is right to tell Topa that he was born female. And then the tension builds to the point where Clyden literally tells her to leave. He's like, "Please leave."
No, not even please. He said, "You have overstayed your welcome."
Yeah, you've overstayed your welcome. Get out. Okay, yeah, get out.
I mean, he's one rude motherfucker.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I mean, seriously, he's talking to the exo of the ship. So it's...
Yeah, but he don't care. He's a civilian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it is
a lot of balls.
It is his husband's boss. You know, he should show some respect.
Yeah,
seriously.
So we get to the next scene, and Topa visits Kelly and apologizes and says, "I will not be able to continue shadowing you because because of my father, because of Clyden." And let's just say Clyden says, the only way this can happen is if he I think the way it was said was if he shadows the captain instead of her. I think that's what they were coming across.
Because he's male.
And because Topa is not comfortable with that, because Topa is connected to Kelly, not Ed. So Topa literally begs her to talk to Clyden, and like I said, feels a connection with her. Wants to have some meaning in his life because he just feels different, incomplete. And Kelly tells him that he must go along with his father. I can't go against your parents' wishes. So we get to the next scene, and Topa visits Charlie, and we see what they're doing. She goes and she talks to Charlie, and we see that they're trying to recreate what the image of what the hell were they called? The aliens that built the temple. They recreate the Helmisites' appearance, and we see the Helmisites' appearance, and I couldn't help but think it was a combination of two things. And if you guys came to the same conclusion as I have, it'd be awesome. I thought of Twi'leks merged with the orange aliens from Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 6, the President Kurtwood Smith's character with the mustache.
Yeah.
Those two aliens.
I didn't think of a Twi'lek. I did think of the President, though.
They had the I forget.
No, not the Twi'leks. What alien race is Ahsoka?
The Grutas.
It was like the head was more like that, like Ahsoka, but then the face was.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking Predator.
Predator.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Were you watching the same show?
Was it the?
I guess he's a bit uglier.
Was it the dreadlocks? Because I kind of thought the same.
Yeah.
There's no dreadlocks. No, it's more like that with the head.
It was like, that was just their head.
I mean, how much did you smoke before you watched the show?
Not enough.
But did you guys see like the Federation president and
Now
that
you mention it, yeah.
Okay. I was curious what you guys thought of that. Love you, Mike. When you saw that, what did you think?
I was thinking the Twi'lek at first. I wasn't really necessarily thinking the Federation president, but I was thinking Twi'lek.
Okay.
I thought it was really interesting, though, that they showed that for a brief moment, and then they moved on with the main course of the story of the show.
I'm telling you, this whole temple thing is going to come back up.
Maybe. I would like to see more of those guys, because they look pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And they should be pretty hella advanced, considering they've been around a lot longer than the rest of us.
Yeah. I'm expecting something similar to what the Vaudoir had, where they were kind of in stasis, but when they woke up, they were like the most advanced race within 20 minutes.
Yeah, there he goes. And what's the name of the actor who played the president? He was Clarence in RoboCop.
Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah.
He played Clarence. He plays.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Anorax in Voyager in the Year of Hell. He was in. I think he played the previous Cardassian security officer before Odo on Terok Nor, and of course, Clarence. Everybody knows Clarence from RoboCop.
And also Red Foreman on that 70s show.
Red Foreman.
Dumbass.
Oh, yeah.
So
Love him.
But yeah, that was yeah. And then of course in Star Trek 4 there was like there was an officer on the Saratoga that was also was also that same race. I just don't remember the race. If anyone in the chat knows, tell me what the race is. I forget what they are. If they were even named race.
No, wait, is it Ephrosion or is that his name?
Oh no, the species, yeah, they're the Ephrosions.
Ephrosions.
There we go.
I don't remember the president's name though, but I remember for a fact that they were the Ephrosions. Because I remember searching that on Memory Alpha a long time ago.
Well, leave it to Spock to know these things. All right, thanks, Spock.
It interested me. We'd never seen those guys before.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the episode really starts to move, and Topa goes to Isaac and asks Isaac what it's like to be dead, how it felt. Topa's curious after being Topa's curious after being asked Topa's basically curious about how it felt for Isaac, and then of course right away, so obviously Topa's contemplating suicide.
You know what? To be honest with you, when Topa wouldn't ask Isaac that, and as Isaac being just a machine and is responding, and machine wise, and I thought if they end up having Topa actually either attempts or actually do commit suicide, and Isaac does nothing about it, I was like, I would be so mad. Yeah. But they did it right.
Yeah. I was like, they're not gonna do this again.
I was really scared though. I was.
I was.
So was
the wrong questions are being asked.
I was very surprised that he didn't go tell Claire though.
Yeah, I thought he would tell Claire too. I thought that would be the first person to go to. But but logically, by him being a observing machine, he knows about the relationship between Topa and Kelly. That's why he went to Kelly. It was logical.
Well, I think he technically reports to Kelly, even though he's not the officer.
Well, even Claire.
He quoted regulations.
Right.
Yeah, it could be part of their regulations to go to the XO first because the captain's busy.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it was.
So and crew morale and stuff is always the XO's job.
Yeah. So of course, Isaac tells her exactly what was told, and there was a nice little funny little thing that he says before. He's like, I know that coming into your quarters during non-hours is weird, so I'll report to the crew that we weren't romantically.
I wish you would have done that before walking in, hadn't even asked her. You just hear it across all the ship's speakers. It's like, I will be entering Kelly's quarter. This is not sexual. Please do not be alarmed.
I was like, okay, Isaac.
Yeah, this isn't going to become another Dr. Finn situation. And
I don't know how forward he is.
And of course, he tells her about the conversation, and Kelly is just horrified. And then it fades. And then it fades to black, and then we go into the next scene. So this time, Kelly approaches Topa in the galley, and she literally tells him, if you need anything, I'm here for you. You're not is her way of telling him that he is not alone in this.
Yeah,
and she recommends kimbap cake, this Mocklin cake, kimbap cake, to get his spirits up.
48 different recipes.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
A lot of cake.
How many real cake recipes are there? You got cheesecake, you got German chocolate, you got regular devil's food chocolate.
Cheesecake is not a cake, it's a pie.
And it's disgusting.
No, it's delicious.
No, it's not. It's gross. How dare you?
But there are many varieties. You got strawberry cheesecake.
Cake is delicious, assuming you like coconut. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. It's delicious.
Knowing the Mocklins and their life, but the planet life over there, they probably got rock cake or some weird shit.
Or mud cake.
The cake.
What was that? What was that in the middle of the cake? It looked like an eye, or it looked like a
crystal ball. Yeah.
Since the Mocklins
Maybe it was not. Maybe it was not edible. Maybe it was just they just put it in there.
Maybe decorative.
Yeah.
Since they can digest anything, I would not like
Yeah.
eat Mocklin food without asking. Like Kelly sitting down, she's like, "Ooh, Mocklin food." I'd be like, "Hold on, is this safe for me? Because you guys can eat like anything."
Nails. Yeah.
Yeah, nails.
I mean, it's like
For all we
eating
know,
the-
that's like a cake of asphalt. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like drinking the krill cider. It's like eating the guk, and the guk is only good when it's live.
Wiggles on the way
Or
down.
what did the Ferengi
One
eat,
thing for sure, I'm gonna definitely have Zillion chocolates.
Yeah.
I'm very strong, Spock. and they might be
Romulan
stronger
air.
than you.
Not as
You have
strong
5
as
times
Vulcan
the
spice.
strength.
We're gonna test it.
Vulcan spikes. Is that what they put in that Plomeek soup?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take it
Oh,
for it.
since we're on this topic of food, I created a Orville related cocktail.
Oh,
It's pickle juice, triple sec, and bourbon.
Mhm.
I call it the failed negotiation.
the failed. You call it the failed negotiation.
The
It's actually
Orville
pretty
two at the Orville 247 had tweeted me an entire watch party menu themed around
Oh.
the Orville. So
Really?
there was like a
Nice.
couple of. I'll send the image here and you can bring it up on the stream if you want. But there was some funny stuff like
Yeah.
Bortus
Yeah.
cactus bites.
Yeah.
Mm.
All I can say is I did attempt a couple years ago to make Romulan ale, and it turned out to just be blue jungle juice. That's the way. I just put a lot
That's
of
not
alcohol.
a bad thing. That is not a bad thing.
Well,
There was blue Hawaiian
well,
punch.
well
That's what made
it's
it
a
make
bad
it.
thing after the fact.
Mhm.
Hey,
It's a bad day
I'm
in the
young
morning
enough. I'll
after.
risk it. Yeah, I'm young enough. I'll risk it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm too old for that shit.
Danny
I'm
Glover,
barely
ladies-
old enough to
Danny
drink.
Glover,
I'm
ladies
gonna
and
go
gentlemen.
all out.
All right.
I'm
let's
probably
get-
the oldest one here, am I?
I'm in my 30s.
I turned 36 like Friday.
Y'all
Okay.
are so
She's younger than me.
old. Y'all.
I'm still
I'm
yeah okay.
44.
Okay, so
You
what?
don't
So
look
the
a day over
oldest.
34.
So the oldest is 44. Everybody else is under 40. Yeah, I'm the old man of the group. I'll be 52 in September.
52. Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
God bless.
Happy future birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Early birthday.
No, that's bad luck.
Oh yeah, you stop celebrating birthdays. My bad.
No. You don't say happy birthday to somebody before their birthday. It's bad luck. It's a southern thing. I got both parents from the south.
Oh, I retract my happy birthday then.
Well, I hope it
I
sucks
retract.
then.
I retract. All right, let's get back into this. So,
Okay, let's go.
So Topa goes home, looks up all the different kimbap recipes, and Topa asks, like, is there a file other than the recipes that is designated kimbap? And we find out that this file is password protected. And I was like, uh-oh, I think I know exactly what this password's going to, or what this file's going to entail. So the password just appears. The password just appears right away, and Topa used that password and reads the file. So, and then okay, so we see her reading the file from a close up of her eyes, and we're like, oh boy, where's this gonna go? I'm like, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, but you notice what the password was?
Kimbox 33?
Nope.
No.
Gamaska.
Gamaska.
First date.
Yeah.
Gamaska, that's what it means, first date?
Yeah, first date. That's a Mocklin first date.
Don't you got like a hot Gamaska to get to?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what that meant. Okay, I wasn't sure what that meant. So yeah, thanks for clarifying that. So we cut to Gordon, who I think we see for the first time in this episode. He's got like a allergic reaction. So apparently he loves this bullet on tart. He's like, and then Claire's like, why did you eat that? Like, it doesn't agree with humans. He's like,
If you
"It's
look
so
closely
good."
too, his throat is like all messed up too.
Yeah.
Like it bumps, like giant bumps, like this big, like all over his face and.
Yo,
I
that
don't
was
wanna know how
nasty.
I don't want to know how those go away. I don't want to know.
Well, he used the. I think it was the dermal. He was using the dermal.
The dermal regenerator
device to do that.
They went off screen for a reason.
Yeah.
You didn't want to pay for that CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So while that's going on, Kelly comes in and basically talks to her about Topa. And then we cut again to Bortus and Clyden, and we find out that Topa has missed Latchcombe with Clyden, which they usually do. They go home, and then they find Topa there, and Topa asks right away, like an adolescent would, "Am I a female?" She just drops the question right then and there. And then Bortus right away says yes.
Clyden actually lies.
Yeah, Clyden lies. Yeah, Clyden lies, and then Bortus says yes.
And the look that Clyden gives Bortus when he says yes, it's like if looks could kill.
Yeah.
I honestly thought they were gonna go down right there. Like that's just gonna be a brawl right there. But
yes.
Like divorced.
Divorce.
Yeah.
I was expecting that from Bortus, to be honest. It's like, I've had enough of you, Clyden. Divorce!
Yeah, and so we find out he asks why they didn't tell him, and they just, I forget exactly what they said, but they were just like, we didn't think it was right to tell you at this time, if they were ever going to tell him. Because I remember, like, I think earlier Clyden tells Clyden would rather have Topa be unhappy than to be in despair, and then Clyden cries. So there was a point where we felt bad for Clyden. I think that was in the first scene with Kelly. I found. So even I felt something for Clyden, but Clyden was just like, oh, he'll outgrow it.
No, when Clyden started crying, I was like,
yeah, okay. So at this point, so we basically find out that Topa, because of what happened to her as an infant, she basically has gender dysphoria. It's more or less the writings on the wall. And then Bortus is like, "We love you." He's like, I forget if he says "I love you" or "We love you," and then Clyden just storms out because that's what Clyden does. So as the episode goes on, we like Clyden less and less and less.
Clyden, you will be silent.
Silent, yes.
Dude, that's the best scream we've ever got out of him.
But the next scene, this next scene was a great scene. So Clyden basically walks in on Kelly in Kelly's office, uninvited, and he literally says, "I'm gonna snap your neck."
He said, "If we were on Mockless, I would snap your scrawny neck." Yeah, exactly.
On Mockless,
I was kind of intimidated.
He's like, "Well, we're not on Mockless, and you better back off." And they just, I forget exactly. I did not write everything they said because there was a lot of things exchanged between them. And Clyden actually tries to attack her, and she redirects and pins him against the wall, and is like, "If you do this again, I'm going to break that arm of yours, and I'm going to put it on my wall."
Look at me.
Yeah, she's ready to kick his ass.
And so this was like, wow. I was just like, wow, this is Clyden's going full villain in this episode. And then of course Clyden just storms out because that's what Clyden does.
He is so oddly devoted.
So that, and then it cuts to then it dips to black and to the next scene. So I was just like, wow, this is where the episode was freaking going. So.
Well, the reason Clyden, I think, is so dedicated to this is there's a lot of reasons for it, but it seems very much born out of guilt, and then maybe even like regret that he didn't get the same decision at that young of an age. Maybe part of him wishes that he could have chosen. So there's
maybe a small form of jealousy.
Yeah, there's just so much going on with him because he's what the end of Topa's journey looks like if they continue down the path of Mocklin tradition. So there might even be, like the classic kid who gets bullied becomes a bully. It's kind of like, if I had to suffer through this, you have to suffer through this type deal. There's just a lot warring within him that it totally makes sense why he becomes the villain of the episode.
Because they wrote it really. They wrote the arc for him really well in this episode. How he's just, he was very angry from the very beginning, but then we see him, being just throughout this episode, he just goes beyond that, and he shows his true colors, that how devoted he is. And when we get to the end, there's a quote that I think really covers it all, of how or how Clyden should see this as a whole, and step back out of his bubble of his tradition and see, is there any room left for you for tolerance, when we get to that ending.
I mean, I think Clayton's problem is he's like a almost religious zealot, where there's no room for anything. He's more into the Moclan ways and tradition, even more than the Krill obeys Avis.
Yeah. His mind is not open at all. Like, he's not willing to listen. He's not willing to listen to or have a discussion with other people and come to have some middle ground and stuff. That's what we really. I mean, we knew what Klein was capable of, and I knew this wasn't gonna. I knew this was gonna end like this. Like, it was gonna end. Well, we'll get into that when we get into that. So
yeah.
But let's continue with scene 4. Let's continue with scene 4. So the next scene, Bortus basically visits Kelly, asks her for her help since Topa won't speak to them, and we find out that Claire's been able to talk to him. So they sit. Kelly apologizes to Bortus, and we find out that it was Bortus that sent the password. So Bortus was at a station, and he got wind that someone was trying to access the file. And he knew right away. He somehow knew it was Topa, and he sent the password. And so Bortus, it wasn't all Kelly's fault for that. It was we learned that Bortus was behind it, and Bortus is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help him, and he cries. And it's just one of those scenes that just really, it was just more. Yeah. It just felt very emotional. Like, you have to put yourself in the position of a parent who has to deal with the potential of the kids are not happy. They could be suicidal. It's crazy. It's crazy. When you just to think about just to put yourself in that position. And that's one thing I've always loved about Star Trek. It just really tried its best to open your mind to like Q says, other possibilities of existence, or living in the shoes of parents that have to deal with it.
And Star Trek used to always ask you to think. It never told you what to think.
Exactly.
It's the beauty of
it. Yeah, I totally agree. So
this scene was probably one of my favorite of the episode, and definitely one of the best performances I've seen in modern television in a very long time. Bortus crying was just, that's when I really felt his investment in it. Like, he's always just kind of been the strong, silent type, and even in the interactions with Topa previous to this in the episode, he's like, hey, I'm still thinking about it, but he's never really expressing anything. But this is the moment you realize how much it had got to him. After everything with About a Girl, he's been carrying that for years now, and he's finally letting it come out for the first time. And it was just very beautifully done, very beautifully acted.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's an interesting one that the Fuppet says. The pacing is rather theatrical, more than like TV series pacing, stage theater pacing in a way. Yeah, I mean, this episode was long, and I don't know anything about stage theater, so I can't really comment.
It was long, but it didn't feel long because you were interested in every scene.
Yeah,
so it didn't really feel long.
Yeah, this was, I think, the longest episode. I think longest episode so far, 76
I think
minutes.
so too. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, I think Electronic Sheep was a minute shorter, I think. Yeah. But this was the longest episode. So yeah, this is more than a third of the length longer than seasons 1 and 2 when they were on network TV. Network TV, they were only 48 minutes. Here they're like 65 to 76 minutes. Who knows? Maybe the later episodes will be even longer. We'll see.
I'd be all right with that.
There are going to be 2-parters.
Mm-hmm. Are there? Mm-hmm. They say that?
They said that there was going to be a 2-parter for this season.
Okay.
Oh, we're about halfway through the season, so
because we know
I was totally just spitballing on that
episodes.
because I haven't seen the episode list.
We know all the names of the episodes. I already made all the thumbnails. So there's no episodes that have part 1 or part 2. So it'll be like Deep Space Nine then, where it'll be like two, like all the episodes will not. Very few episodes of Deep Space Nine hit part 1 or part 2 at the end. All the arc based episodes had like different titles, which I thought was interesting. So it always caught me off guard when it said to be continued in Deep Space Nine. So we learned. So what else do we? So Claire basically says to Kelly that she literally, because I think at one point Kelly goes to Claire and asks her, "Did I do the right thing by telling or by helping Topa learn this?" And Claire's like, "Yes, you did do the right thing." So Kelly ends up going in to talk to Topa. Topa's upset, doesn't like we've been hearing. Topa doesn't know what to do, and Topa expresses interest in meeting a Moclan female. So Kelly basically says, "Okay, we can do that. Let's go to the simulator." So they go into the simulator, and they recreate the trial from About a Girl, and we see Havina again. We hear Havina's speech about her parents allowing her to stay female, and then there's another moment of crying. Topa ends up crying hearing the speech. So it was cool. It was obviously this was direct to me. This episode was a direct sequel to About a Girl, or basically, discuss or basically going forward with that particular exact story.
It was definitely a big callback to that episode for sure. A lot of it was.
And we also see someone who's very familiar to us, even though she was out of focus.
Alara?
She's there in the scene.
Really cool how they did this scene. I don't know too much about green screen work and blue screens, but this was just really trippy to watch. Just them walk around their season 1 outfits and seeing the haircuts and everything. You saw Claire; she had her short haircut. It's kind of funny.
It was definitely a combination of reused footage and recreation, but yeah, they did a very good job of compositing it all together from an editorial standpoint.
Yeah,
because I was wondering if they brought the actress that plays Havina in to redo that speech.
I don't think they could, because didn't she die?
No, it was the senator from the last episode.
No, I don't think they did, because I mean, unless she's really good at replicating exactly how she sounded in that scene, because she sounded exactly the same from that episode.
I mean, that whole scene was the same. It was the same one. Matter of fact, they did a beautiful job of putting
just different music.
Topa in there. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But it was really impactful to see it again because it was a great speech.
Yeah. So we're now in the sick bay, and it's Kelly and Topa, and Topa basically says, "I'm female. I want to be female." So we end up going to Ed's office, and this is a very interesting scene. There's Clyden's there. Clyden objects to this, and Clyden objects to Topa wanting to become female, whereas Bortus ends up siding with Kelly and Topa himself before he becomes. Topa basically wants the procedure reversed that happened to him as an infant. So Clyden brings up something that made me think of the issue with parents and stuff, saying Clyden is too young to make this decision. And Ed basically weighs in the legal aspect of this, saying that union law only requires one parent to approve, not both. And Clyden's like, "Bortus, if you do this, I'm leaving you, and I'm not going to even give you the benefit of me stabbing you to death.
You are not even worth the sword.
You're not even worth the sword." So they're like, "Okay." They're like, "Okay, we can do this, but there's one thing we have to do in order to make this go forward." So they contact this Admiral. I forgot her name. Admiral, what was her name? I wrote it down. Admiral Holland. Admiral Holland is her name. So Admiral Holland, basically, they get into this discussion, and Admiral Holland basically says no to the procedure. says they cannot perform the procedure because of their fractured relationship with the Mocklins. Because I mean, right now, based on obviously there's the Kalon threat, the existential Kalon threat, and now you have the more immediate Krill threat. So they're fighting. There's a war on two fronts, and they cannot afford to lose the Mocklins, because if they lose the Mocklins, then they're fucked. Excuse my language. So
which I get. Like, I don't blame the Union for making that decision. Like, and the episode doesn't demonize them for that decision, and I think that was a very good way of going about it. Because I probably would make the same decision if I were in the Union Council's position, just with everything at stake. So
yeah. We find out that they wanted to actually talk with the other Mocklin delegates, and the Admiral's like, "No, you should be thankful that I left them out of this meeting." And she said, "If you do this, and if anyone in the Union does this, the Mocklins will leave. They will walk," as she puts it. So she literally says, "Our hands are tied. We cannot do anything." And I remember Claire actually objects to that. Claire objects to this, and the Admiral basically the Admiral was very reasonable, and yeah, like you said, totally understandable. I mean, you have to think about the consequences if they do this. So they don't know. So it ends, and they're like, "Oh, where are we going to tell her?" Boris is like Claire's like, "Oh my gosh, where are we going to tell her?" And Boris is like, "I'll tell her. Kelly, Commander, could you come with me?" And she's like, "Sure." And we find out that Topa is devastated, and she's just upset, and she's like, I'm sick of this. I want to take control of my life. And of course, Topa gets super duper angry and just leaves. There's a lot of leaving in this episode. A lot of people just storm out and leave. A lot of high emotions in this. And then it fades to then it dips to black, and then we are now in the next scene. So I nearly forgot about, because of all this that happened, all these high emotions, I forgot about the temple. I forgot that there was a temple in this episode. So we're back at the temple, and Charlie cut herself, and she finished her analysis, but she cut herself. So Claire's helping heal her. And then we find out Tala is down there. She disarmed all the booby traps. And we learned that basically the entire crew is pulling for Topa. They want Topa to be happy, and yeah, like it's good. It's good to have a crew that's likable to the point where they want something positive for another character, even though there might be damaging consequences. So Claire offers an interesting proposition. She offers to resign her commission and then perform the operation without anyone's knowledge. And Ed's like, no, don't do it. If you do that, they're going to come after you. The Mocklins are going to come after you. So you would never be safe. They would put you in jail. They put Topa in jail. You guys would be screwed. So let's just say a certain Isaac overhears this conversation. He's like, "Hey, hi, I'm not an officer. I can do it. I've got better dexterity than even you, Doctor. I can do it. You just show me what to do, and I'll do it." So Isaac volunteers, because Isaac's not an officer, and he's like, "I could perform the procedure efficiently, and then they could do it without anyone knowing." So they would give the crew and everyone else plausible deniability. So, what do you guys think of that? Think of that little solution right there.
I think Isaac actually lied at the end when he talked to Claire.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he did. He volunteered because he didn't want Claire to leave.
Yeah, exactly. That too.
I think the Admiral brings up a great point at the end for the reasoning. Like the Mocklins actually took it well that it was a Kalon who did the operation, because it invigorates them in the war against Kalons. I think Isaac, or at least someone else on the crew, would have recognized that earlier on and mentioned it in their initial deliberations. Like, hey, this might be an extra safety feature, but
yeah. So let's who's typing? Okay, let's all right, let's keep going with this. Who's typing? DJ, are you typing?
Am I? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. All right, so what they decide to do next is to do a performance. So while Isaac is doing his thing, while Isaac is prepping, doing his thing, the rest of the crew is distracted by having Bortus lead a performance. So Bortus is like in the trailer is putting on his A game, and then I liked how Gordon's like, there you go, that's the right attitude. And so everybody's gathering for a performance in the shuttle bay, just like made me think of the performance of Singing in the Rain in season 2, just that type of thing. Felt very, it gave me, because I used to play piano, I used to do piano recitals. It made me think of it brought me back to being a child doing piano recitals. So
I have a question though. Where did they put the shuttles?
I was thinking the same thing. They imply they only get the one shuttle bay.
Is there only one shuttle bay?
Well, I mean, when you see it from the back, it's the back door.
Yeah, one here,
and it's not thick enough for it to go into the floor.
Yeah. Maybe they used replicators to break them down. No,
it's like a capsule core. They just turn into little, tiny little things.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Well, it is possible they're still at that archaeology dig, so maybe they just took them down to the planet. Whoever was the away party had them.
That's a good point.
Yeah, both of them and the pterodon.
Yeah, no, it's not a great explanation, but it's something.
Probably, who knows?
But I like the callback in the singing part, at least, where Bortus, he was about to do the karaoke back, I think, in season 1, and Gordon was so hyped for that. I think they should have done a little bit more with that, like Gordon jumping up and be like, "Is he gonna sing this time? He's gonna sing this time." I feel like Gordon would have flipped out.
They did do a callback when he told Ty he was playing in the wrong key.
Yeah,
that key is too high.
The key is too high.
So he went an octave. He went an octave lower.
Sorry.
So there was a nice little moment of levity, and then he starts singing Claire's favorite song. I don't know what was it based off of a real song, or was it a song that they wrote for this episode? So I was trying to see if I could find what the song was.
No, it's a real song. I just trying to remember where is it from.
I know it starts out. I know it starts out being about a boy, and then it ends with "You are not." The last thing is that song is
"You Never Walk Alone."
You never walk alone. It is an actual song. It's also been used in a musical before. And
yeah, I just can't remember what musical it was.
Great voice. I was like enjoying that.
Maybe Annie. Maybe they're bringing back some other aspects of Annie from last episode.
No. Annie,
Annie, the woman of the krill.
From all the musicals that my mom and sister listened to, I don't recall that being Annie.
No, it's not Annie.
I know. I was joking about that, because they had Annie in the last episode.
I'm like a Vulcan. I didn't understand the joke.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine the krill hearing the song "Here Comes the Sun"? It's all right. That would make them cringe.
That song is a nightmare.
Terrifying.
George Harrison would be the devil for the krill. Just saying.
My favorite Beatle.
The third Beatle. All right.
Let's just hope they don't start doing Drake songs.
DJ, are you trying to figure out where the shuttles went?
Yeah. I'm like looking for like a space for a hangar bay, maybe a conveyor belt. Like they slide it in front of the shuttle bay. Maybe they put it in front of the quantum nacelle.
Maybe they hang it from the ceiling because we don't get an aerial shot. Maybe they're actually up on the ceiling.
Well, it's like a little bump on top. So yeah, why not? I'm down for that. We'll investigate that. I'll put it in my notes.
All right, so now we're in the conference room. Topa's just like looking outside, still upset, still depressed. So Isaac comes in and says, "I need you to come with me." So Topa has no idea what's going on. Topa has no knowledge. Well, they walk to sickbay, and Topa is basically Isaac's like, we're going to be performing your operation, and Topa's like, I don't know if I want Dr. Finn. I'm afraid. And right away, Clyden returns. Clyden returns for some more conflict. So Clyden tries to stop this.
Well, actually, you're skipping ahead, because Isaac did something uncharacteristic. He actually comforted Topa.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
bedside
what did you guys think of his bedside manner? It was actually kind of nice.
Yeah,
I was expecting him to emulate Claire's voice again, like he did with the boys in the previous season.
Yeah. So it provides a little bit of bedside manner, and then Clyden comes storming in and tries to disrupt it. And there's a lot of stuff said, and Isaac figures out logically that Clyden is I forget exactly what Isaac said about Clyden, but it was irrational. Clyden was basically irrational and not someone you can argue with. So Clyden tries to. I don't remember if Clyden tried to hit Isaac or tried to reach for Topa, take her away.
He tried to reach for Topa.
Yeah, okay.
He tried to reach for Topa,
and then Clyden just Isaac just grabs the arm and just moves it, and it's just like it was just like a very menacing look. It reminded me of Data and who did Data do that to? Who did Data do that to in TNG? I'm trying to remember.
Worf.
I think it was Worf. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
just grab his arm and just like move it like that. Like it was
definitely did it to a Klingon. I don't know if it was Worf or not, but
okay. Well, I remember in the unification, I believe when they're on the ship, they try to arm wrestle Data, and Data's like, and they're like, and then they just start laughing heartily because that's what Klingons do, right? Mike?
Well, also Data did it to Picard in Best of Both Worlds Part 2.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. When Picard was Locutus, when Locutus just started attacking people in the lab. Okay, there you go. And Spock does it too in TOS. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I forget who he does it. He doesn't do it to Kirk, does he? I forget. I'm trying to remember. Well,
I think he did it to Scotty.
Okay, he might have done that to Scotty. Okay, whatever. Can't think of it right now. My brain's all melted. So they begin to so Clyden once again almost gets his arm broken. He leaves. He just storms out of the room in anger. Last storming out of the room once again. So they begin the procedure, and Topa lays in bed and closes his eyes for the last time.
At this point,
yeah. And then Bortus concludes we cut back to Bortus. He concludes the song saying, "You'll never walk alone." I put down "You'll never be alone" because paraphrase. Sorry. So Topa wakes up. We see her feet, and she sees herself in the mirror as a female for the first time. That was a nice little reveal. Like I was trying to see like the differences in in the makeup.
Yeah.
As opposed to when she was supposed to be male. So I think the cheekbones, and they changed like the cheekbones or something.
Yeah, when the male Klingons have these protruding cheekbones, almost like a spine looking, and the female doesn't, and her head is also smaller now. When the Moclan male head is much bigger. Yeah.
Okay. So now we see Topa as what she was supposed to be born with. She's a female. She's a female now. I wasn't sure if they were ever going to do that, or at least as early as this season. So I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. So they kind of
a lot of unexpected things are happening. I'd have to say in this season.
Yes, I totally agree. So we get to that, and then of course, another Union ship shows up. The USS New, and the first thing I thought was, I think the Admiral's going to be on board, because there was a clip of her yelling at in the trailer that Seth MacFarlane released, was her yelling at Kelly and Ed. I was like, yep, she's on board. She's gonna chew them out. And boy, was that scene glorious, seeing them get chewed out.
That gave me serious flashbacks, man.
Oh. Yeah, there's this thing called chain of command, where you have to stand at attention. You have to say yes, sir, no, sir, which is something that I'm gonna say new Star Trek does not do. Like all the captains and admirals are like friend bosses to everybody because I guess the military is toxic. I don't know. I don't know why they do that. Why they want to make everybody relatable. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do there. So
no, because they're written by people who have no idea what the chain of command is or how the military functions.
Yeah, I mean, you're going into space.
Space
is more freaking hazardous than being on a ship on the ocean. So you're in space. You have to be fully disciplined. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to be really good at what you do in order to survive up there. Everybody, there's the reason why there's 300. I don't know how many crew is in the Orville, but on the original Enterprise, there was 450 people, 440, 450 people. Everybody had a role to keeping that ship in operation. And if there was anything less, there would be problems because running a ship requires a lot of work so that everybody stays alive.
No, absolutely.
So, just saying. So that requires a military. It requires a command structure.
That's why Data, when he took command of the Enterprise, that moment where he takes Worf aside is so powerful because he's like, yeah, we're friends, and I want to keep that, but we're still military, and we still.
Yeah, once I make a decision, a course of action decision, you got to go along with it. You can object to it. But once I make that decision, you have to go along with it. So yes.
They did it accurately in this episode as well because, even where I was stationed, there was zero danger. I was never in a situation, but we still had that same type of strict military order chain of command. And I can't imagine how difficult and how strict that would be in an environment like this where you're on the edge of the frontier of space in a war with two different species at this point. So very accurately done.
Yeah,
from a military perspective, at least.
Yeah, I agree, and I like this admiral already. So, and once again, of course, they deny the knowledge. She's like, you are either incompetent or I forget exactly what were the two words.
You're either insubordinate or incompetent.
And they're like, yes, sir. They're like, yes, sir. And she's like, well, you're lucky because the Mocklans decided to. They're going to stay because they objected to the fact that a Kaelon did this. So now they want to now they want to fight the Kaelon even more now, which I thought was a great twist. I did not see that one coming. I thought they were still going to leave. I honestly thought they were going to leave the Union after this. Like I thought.
I knew they were never going to leave the Union, even how much they bluster about their culture and stuff. Because you got the Krill and you got the Kaelon, they will have to be completely idiots to leave the Union because of this.
Yeah.
Well,
they were just using the fact that Isaac did the surgery as a way for them to save face.
Right. And
there you go.
In this episode, I knew they were definitely not going to leave the Union because, everyone on the Orville would be disciplined, fired, court-martialed. There'd be no more show if the Mocklans had left the Union in this episode. So that stake didn't really exist for me. Those stakes weren't really there.
Mm-hmm. So Atheist for the cause says the Admiral did say to give her best regards to Topa, which was her way of saying she agreed with what they did. That's exactly.
She was officially scorning them. Unofficially, she was commending them.
Yep. In a way where she had plausible deniability too.
Yeah,
exactly. Outright say it.
Yeah. And someone wants to say hello to you, Spock.
How's it going, Tim? Spock on, brother.
I have Tim Stock. I gotta get you on. I have to get you on another episode. I'll DM you. But other than that, that was pretty cool. That was cool to seeing officers getting chewed out because I don't know why it just made me feel good on the inside. I don't know what it is. It made it feel Star Trek, at least TNG.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to Clyden and Boris's quarters. Clyden is packing up. Clyden is packing up. He's done. He's done with this.
Good riddance.
Boris and Topa are basically begging him to stay. Like, what can we do?
You said it, Mike.
What can we do? And Clyden literally says the thing.
No. Topa tells Clyden, "Papa, I love you," and then Clyden says,
"I wish you've never been born."
I actually, to be honest, I looked at the TV screen and I was like, "Fuck you."
I kind of threw a middle finger at him.
I could not. I was surprised that would come out of. I was surprised that came out of Clyden's mouth. It kind of makes you question now: did Clyden ever truly love Topa, or was it?
Is Clyden even capable of love?
Yeah. Was it completely selfish?
I couldn't believe that. I was just. Because the whole thing was when he was packing and you feel the tension in that room, and I was like, please don't say anything you'll regret. And he said it. I was like, ah.
But the only thing is, I don't think that asshole would regret it.
No, he's not going to regret it.
He's that arrogant.
It's scary.
If I was
really
Boris,
bad. Even though
I would have grabbed the divorce knife and ran right behind him.
even though he is an asshole and it's good riddance for him, that I feel so bad for Topa that one of her own parents had said that to her. It's horrible.
Yeah, and then right after, I don't know if this was after Clyden left. I forget, but then Borda says, "You're perfect." I think was this after?
That was after he left.
Boris is fucking awesome. I love Boris.
Boris is like, "You're perfect." So
Boris has always cared about Topa, regardless, and you knew it toward Boris's heart when they changed Topa from female to male.
I mean,
you saw that.
The reason why Borda had that addiction in the episode was it Primal Urges, was because of that. It stemmed all the way down to his what's a word?
Resentment.
Resentment of Clyden for doing that to Topa in that episode. So, but that episode ended with Clyden Bordas getting over it by seeing like a life and death situation with people on that plant that they had to save. They could only save like a handful of people on this plant that was about to go like be pulled into its sun. So
he made a very brave move this episode, and sure Kelly did as well by pointing her in a direction. But Bordas really pulled through by sending over that password. I'm still thinking about, wow, like he really just said, I want her to find out, and it's like it's still like a revelation to me that he was able to even send the password through there. It was like a whole plot twist in its own I was not expecting. I thought, Kelly had sent the password, not Bordas.
And the other thing about Bordas loved his child. He loved her when she was a girl. Yeah. When they had this operation, he never treated him any different when he was a boy. He just loved his child. Now that she's back to being female, it's no different for him. He doesn't care. He just loves his child. Clyden, everything got to be fit in his little box and his little world and his little worldview. I mean, he's on a Union ship with the whole galaxy, but his brain is still on Moxless.
Yeah, I knew sooner or later he was going to leave. Clyden was going to leave them and go back to Moxless. It was inevitable in this point. So so this was one prediction that came to pass from months ago. So
I think if Clyden wasn't involved with Bordas, he probably would have never left Moxless once in his entire life. You can space travel. He would stayed on Moxless.
I can't really predict the future of this show because maybe something might strengthen the relationship between Moxless and the Union. But as far as I see it, and some quotes that Ed Mercer had said in the past about how long can a relationship or an alliance last with a culture like this, and that kind of sends me to believe if they do pull through, and if the Kalon threat is neutralized, and if some miracle all of them manage to stay alive, nobody is wiped out in the process, we can't really expect the Mocklins to stay with the Union for very long, because the only thing that's holding them together like glue is the Kalon. That's it.
Yeah, but the Mocklin is the chief weapons production of the Union. Now,
if they were without them, they're screwed.
Yeah, but that means they're inclined. That's the way their mind works, weapons and stuff like that. Which means so do the female Moklins. What if the female Moklins on their planet has been building their own fleet?
That could be cool. Yeah.
And they come in at the last minute and help out doing the war with the Kalons.
I would like to know. Yeah, that would be
That'd
awesome.
be awesome.
I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the explanation for where they get their resources because it would be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, there's a planet there with moons. They could be mining it, and just like anybody else would, they could get replicators. I mean, I'm quite sure, even though they're not recognized as a sovereign, the Union is giving them some kind of help.
Yeah.
Well, we never saw where they ended up after they were in the nebula, the female colony, at least.
No, they're still on that planet. Yeah, in that nebula,
planet.
And that planet in the nebula has moons.
Now the bigger
They could be
question
mining
is,
the moons.
Now the bigger question is, are they still working 9 to 5?
Don't forget, I
Well, of course
don't
they are, 'cause
remember
they
the
know that man is
name.
out to get them.
I don't remember the name of the species from episode 2, but we might see them again too. They might come into play because
What,
they
the
had,
Calibans?
The Caliban.
The Caliban?
Yeah.
they had the ships of their own, which looked pretty advanced. So
Yeah, matter of fact, they're actually more advanced than the rest of the Union. That's why they're not part of the Union, because they think they're inferior.
yeah,
That's right.
Now, if the Kalons are dumb enough to attack them straight on, then
Oh, they will.
they're probably then they're probably they may get rid of everybody else first and then save them for last because they're technologically evenly matched. Or matter of fact, I think the Caliban might be more than the Kalons, so they might try to save them for last.
If one of them decide to step in and say, this is also a threat to us, and let's help out the Union. But not all of them are going to be like that. Some might be more.
Actually, that's the way the Union should approach the Caliban. Say, hey, look, if we don't work together to stop these Kalons, they're going to destroy every biological life out there. And then what would you have in your zoo?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That would be funny. I mean, like the Calibans, they had to have. I think Isaac went in episode 2. I think they had to have Isaac in command.
Yeah,
be in command of the situation. I think, I think Alara had to stay silent, even though she was Salayan. I forget how they view Salayans, but because Salayans,
they feel anybody who technologically inferior, like ants, they see Isaac as a higher life form.
Yeah, because in that episode, Isaac referred to Alara as his pet, and Alara goes, "Woof."
I forgot about that. I have to rewatch that.
That's great.
Wow. So, speaking of Isaac, let's get back. We have a couple more scenes left to talk about. So, Claire. We're now with Claire and Isaac, and Claire is really impressed and really happy that Isaac did what he did. And we find out what Isaac's motivations were. Isaac didn't do this for Topa. Didn't do this for Topa's happiness. Isaac did this to improve, selfishly did this to improve his standing with the crew. Because if he improves his standing with the crew, they will perform at more optimal efficiency. I don't think that's true. I think that's a cop-out.
Me neither.
I think he wanted boom chicka wawa boom with Claire, and it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
He's gonna get some tonight. He's gonna get some. That's what
I love the relationship. I'm so glad that they're setting it back up, that they might get back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them together.
Because
Also happy to see Yaphet this episode too.
Yeah, Isaac didn't volunteer his services until Claire said she was going to resign her commission.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that too. And because like he said in the last season, if she left, he would miss her. Like her presence there would have an effect on him. So that's why he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And this is funny. When Alara said "woof," I heard "Worf." Mr. Wolf. Shut up, Waxana.
Oh, speaking of
Worf, madam.
Yeah, speaking of Worf, you hear that Worf is supposed to be in Picard season 3. I'm just so afraid of what he's going to look like. Is he going to like a Klingon, or is he going to look like a Kling Orc?
So if you follow Robert Meyer Burnett on Twitter,
I do. I heard him, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't.
So, like when it comes to new Trek, Robert RMB is very on point with his.
But see, he didn't see this. He had people he know tell him this, and they're just basically. I think they blowing smoke up his ass because there's no way Akiva Goldsmith and Alex Kurtzman can do anything good.
Yeah.
No, I definitely don't think so.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. But if Akiva Goldsmith and Alex Kurtzman were a blind squirrel, they would starve.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. But yeah, you're afraid because I don't think they showed any Klingons since Discovery season 2. So they haven't shown any Klingons. So they're trying. I guess they're trying to figure out what the Klingons look like now. Just get the old makeup back. Don't use the Klingorks. Klingorks look ugly and disgusting.
The Klingorks look like Barney fucked the Smurf.
Yeah, Barney from the dinosaur, or Barney?
Yeah,
from
so Barney the dinosaur.
Okay. Or the Simpsons.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, Barney Gumble. I love favorite Barney scene is within the baseball episode where he's arguing with what was his name, Wade Boggs, who's the best prime minister in UK. Lord Palmerston, no, Pitt the Elder. Lord Palmerston, no, Pitt the Elder. Then they start to get into a fight, and poor Wade Boggs is out of the game. Mike, you'd appreciate it. I'm talking about baseball.
Don't get me talking about baseball right now. You know my team sucks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll stay mum about baseball. So, all right. So so basically, we have one final scene. Topa is eating cake. Kelly calls and offers her a chance to come to the bridge to sit in the command chair, and we see we're with Topa as she walks up to the bridge, and everybody's there awaiting her, and she sits down and gives the order to go to Quantum Drive, and that's how the episode ends. Beautiful.
You know what's cool? She begins the episode in a command chair, and she ends the episode in a command chair.
She does.
Right.
Yeah, in the simulator in the beginning, and then on the actual bridge in this. So I'm curious. Do you think this closes out the whole Mocklin arc, or the whole Mocklin and Clyden arc, or do you think there's going to
just getting started?
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot more coming.
What do you? I'm just curious. You guys have any speculation on what do you think is going to be next with the Mocklins and Clyden?
I think Clyden's going to go and join with the Krill.
That's an extreme opinion.
Well, they both share their religious zeal. Yeah, religious zeal.
So you think Clyden and Talay are going to hook up?
Well, not hook up, join forces.
Join forces? That's an interesting thing.
Or Clyden might just try to get some Mocklin mercenaries to kidnap Topa to reverse the procedure.
I can definitely see that.
That sounds realistic.
Or Clyden's going to try to do his best to convince Mocklin to leave the Union.
Yeah, so I honestly have a very loose, because we still don't know. I personally don't know. There's a couple more episodes we got left, so, and potential of many seasons, but it's possible at this moment. I still think, like what we talked about, Brian, before, we're still possibly going to see the Unions and the Mocklin secede from the Union, but Clyden may turn out to be another type of Talea figure on Mocklin.
I definitely see that.
Where he turns the tide against, like Mike said, against the Union into seceding and supporting that idea. But I don't know how much that's going to succeed while they all agree that they should stay with the Union to defeat the Kaelon. So
maybe
it's like I said, this
could probably happen post Kaelon.
Post Kaelon, very possibly.
Yeah,
because that's if they make it through, though.
Yeah, unless Mocklin suffers something similar to Cardassia at the end of Deep Space Nine.
Oof.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, Border should have got the divorce knife. When Clyden said, "I wish you never born," he should have grabbed that divorce knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wish I'd never had my.
That's a hard thing to come back from.
I had an idea before, but I'm not too confident anymore because this season has shown to have many plot twists that I was not expecting.
Yeah, same here.
That for example, of Ed Mercer having the kid. Did not see that coming.
No.
I saw that coming. I predicted that. What? Yeah, I predicted that like a couple of years ago.
A very smart man. I did not see that.
Ask JP over at Orville Nation. I was on live stream with him. I said, I guarantee you, we're going to see that Ed has a kid and it's going to be with Talayla.
Wow, I wasn't sure.
You should have won the lottery.
Yeah,
for that,
I did.
Yeah,
I remember I was there. I heard that. I was there. I heard that. So yeah, you're right. So next week's episode is called "Twice in a Lifetime." I'm curious what that one's about. Twice.
That has to be involved time travel.
One theory I do have that might still be stable is maybe we still may get some kind of variant that has to do with the two-parter from last season. Something maybe not got fully corrected.
Yeah.
Or more or less something with the treatment that Claire had injected into Claire starts to wear off in a way she starts to remember.
Twice in a lifetime. It could be Ed and Kelly fully getting back together.
Actually, about to say the same thing, which I don't want. I really don't want them to get back together. I like them as they are. First
maybe
officer,
after like the season ends, or not season ends, as the show ends, and they're like retired, and yeah, sure. But right now, like I think Kelly's point is still valid. If they were very close, then command decisions would get messed up.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, their dynamic is definitely a lot better as it is currently. But there's a lot of things Twice in a Lifetime could be referring to. It's a very ambiguous name.
Maybe Gordon meets the great granddaughter of the woman he fell in love with on the phone.
Jay Lee did say there are going to be some romance stories in this season.
Like especially they kind of last episode they hinted to Lamar and Tala.
Oh yeah, they'd be a good couple.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That would be amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Twice in a lifetime could also refer to Isaac and Claire.
Yeah.
True.
Definitely could.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, they kind of broke up.
They might cover all of these things.
Yeah. Well, when does Seth drop like trailers for the next episode? Saturdays?
Usually on Fridays on his Twitter account.
Fridays?
Yep.
Okay.
And his Instagram.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So we'll keep an eye out for what we'll see. I'm curious. Do you think this season's going to build up to a Kalon battle or a Kalon?
Yes.
No,
absolutely.
That's
yes.
the season
Do
finale.
I think it might be their conclusion for the Kalon completely being wiped out? No. I think it's still going to drag on. It's going to be a long battle.
You think
it's
going
like
to
the Klingon
continue
War,
into the
like
next
the
season?
40-year battle?
Do you think it's going to continue in the next season?
I would like to see it continue into the next season. The season finale carrying over into the next season with a good old-fashioned cliffhanger.
I just had a thought.
Go ahead.
I just had a thought. What if the only way they can survive the Kalon is for Isaac to leave the Orville and become the new Kalon primary?
I could see that.
I see
Now, my
that
question
actually
for you is
increasing
this,
their odds of dying.
So I have a question. Do you think Kalon primary is still alive? Kind of like
Yes.
the War Queen? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, because we think in such three-dimensional terms.
Because he would be sacrificing himself, buying them time if that had to be the case, but he would also be giving them the knowledge he has of the Union.
No, but if he is the Kalon primary, it means they follow his orders.
Okay, yeah, if he's not corrupted by their manipulation, then
No, I mean he becomes basically it's the opposite. He corrupts them. He takes his knowledge and stuff, and
makes them kind of compassionate, just as Isaac is.
That would be a very difficult thing to portray, because I can see that going a very cheesy route. Like, he's about to get corrupted by them, and then Claire does some, like, romantic speech, touches his hand, and, like, love makes him stay who he is.
Just blushes.
Difficult to get right. Yeah.
Love cures all. I was thinking of. I was actually when you guys were talking about that. I was thinking of Data being connected to the collective and taking over, doing commands. Putting them to sleep, and I guess putting Borg to sleep makes the Borg cube explode.
There are a lot of similarities between the Kaelon and the Borg, other than the fact that they're not assimilating people and making them their slaves. But
yeah,
they are all, connected into one giant communication net, so they all feed back to each other. They're all pretty much in a hive. So it makes it pretty interesting as to what you guys said, as maybe Isaac could turn them around into not being hostile anymore.
Yeah.
Giving him his perspective on biologicals as he's collected from season 1 till now.
Or what if there's division among the Kaelon? Some start following Isaac, others start following Kaelon primary.
Yeah, that could happen. A civil war within the Kaelons.
That'd be cool, actually.
Very
Union
cool.
Kaelon technology merged. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, it could be a bunch of Kaelons and all their eyes turn blue.
A Union ship with Kaelon technology.
I'd like to find like a one survivor from the original biological life forms from the Kaelon homeworld, and we get a little bit of backstory from that one survivor about how the Kaelons came to power, and maybe like a weakness in them or a design flaw or something like that, just to get more of the backstory of how that happened. Because next gen, that would be different.
Yeah,
that's actually something Spock and I were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, it was. Because we were curious as maybe we might see a flashback as to the extermination of the entire race that the Kaelons, their masters, were in the entire civilization. Because obviously they're all dead. Because maybe if there were some survivors, they'd have to be very lucky, because from what the security officer's description was, the entire planet was covered in billions of graveyards. So that most likely they're all dead.
Maybe they're like the Elorians, and they're scattered throughout the galaxy.
Yeah,
they may have
survived. Some survived.
If they were warp capable, if they
were able to build the Kaelons, I'm sure that they had warp or quantum technology.
Well, not necessarily. Some technologies develop slavery devices as their, because that's what the Kaelons basically were. They were service bots.
Right, but they developed their intelligence to that degree as well. Like,
over
you could
time,
have slave robots, but by the end of it, I'm sure that they had space.
Yeah, they had a giant city, so if we saw some more aspects of it where they had like ships and everything, then definitely some of them could have escaped. I don't see why not.
Well, maybe
I'm hoping this is true right now. I'm hoping we find last remnants of the race. Sorry, Ronnie. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying maybe they had a breakaway colony, but of course the Kaelon, artificial Kaelons wouldn't let that colony survive. So maybe if that wouldn't survive, perhaps there would be a ship with some, organics in stasis that might come up at some point.
Like the great Ian Malcolm says, life finds a way.
Like to say, like a classic like mountain man conspiracy theorist. Like at the time, he was the one saying the robots are gonna kill us all. Don't trust the robots. And then he ended up being right. So he had like a secret bunker somewhere where he was the preppy guy.
Yeah,
the prepper guy. I think that would be kind of funny. And he's still completely insane, even though he was right about that. And to deal with him being on the Orville, just going bananas.
That would be a hell of an episode. But who would they get to cast as the crazy guy?
It would have
Gary
to be
Busey.
Gary Busey.
Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore.
Oh no!
Hey, buddy.
Okay. All right. So, chat. Put in your score for the episode and your final thoughts, and let's go around the horn and. We'll start with you, DJ Ronnie G. What would you give this episode?
Oh, no pressure, man. I gotta say, coming in from the beginning, I was gonna go for a 7, but I'll give it a solid 8.
Care to elaborate why you gave it 8? What'd you take?
I wanted more battles, but you can't have space battles in every episode, so I can't complain.
Okay, about you, Jed.
Well, so yeah, I'm usually very strict in my numbers, but I'm going to do the same, 8 out of 10. I love character-driven episodes, and since that's literally what this one was, it definitely appealed to me in a way that a lot of the others didn't. And a lot of the storylines I felt very personally attached to. Not the gender dysphoria part of Topa's journey, but still the adolescent suicidal tendencies, that type of struggle, I definitely connected with. And not to get too personal, but I did have a parent tell me they wish I'd never been born. So that scene specifically spoke to me on a deep level. So it just was a very personal episode for me. That's why it's probably a close second for Electric Sheep as the second best Orville episode across all 3 seasons. So I definitely enjoyed this one quite a bit.
Okay, yeah. Sorry to hear that, Jed, but just to repeat Bortus, you're perfect.
Oh, thank you, man.
All right, what about you, Mike?
I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Okay. So what? So
I wanted to see a little bit more conflict between Bortus and Clyden. I wanted them to really go at it. Really find out what they've both been hiding from one another since About a Girl. What Bortus really feels about the whole procedure and about Clyden's whole point of view on Mocklin culture, saying it's time to change. Times, they're changing. You need to be able to adapt with the times or get lost in the shuffle.
Can I call you Bob, Mike? Can I call you Mr. Dillon? Times they are changing.
Well, if you want to call me Bob. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, no, that's great. No, Bob Dylan's good. I like Bob.
Yeah, it is.
You just have to get used to. You just have to get used to how he sings. So, Nate, what about you?
I gave it an 8.9.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was really character driven. It was excellent writing as normal with this show. Really great writing. It's classic sci-fi. It is not a Star Trek spoof, a Star Trek knockoff. It is a love letter to Star Trek.
I totally agree. It's not.
And
it's
Hulu
not a parody.
will be leaving money on the table if they do not renew this show.
I totally agree. So if you're out there, everyone, if you're out there, go on Twitter, go on social media, and say Hulu renew the Orville.
Hashtag renew the Orville.
The Orville. Let's all say in unison. 1, 2, 3. Renew
the
Orville.
Amen.
Renew it. Do it.
Orville.
Okay,
do it.
And
do it now.
Do it. Come on. Do it now.
And
come
so
on. Renew it.
All right, and we got one more. We got Spock. What about you, Spock? Where you at?
Yeah. Biased opinion, I guess, but I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. Simply because I like stories that really just drive at you, other than just plain action. Because I like action, I like ship battles, I like seeing phasers and ship holes exploding, but I also like to see a reason for why all of it's happening. And instead of this case, we're not getting like a whole tension between 2 warring factions. We're getting something about a solo character. I mean, you could also say Bortus had a lot of development in this episode too, but this was mainly a Topa episode, and we get to learn more about Topa than we've ever had before. And it was really, I don't know. That's the best part for me, because I really like character-driven episodes that, at the end, is really when it hits you. At the end is when you learn the whole episode, and you understand its message. So I think, like Nate says, this is a direct love letter to Star Trek and what it stood for, the human condition, and passing along very important stories that we should all think about. We should all maybe question ourselves. So yeah, I like stories that we can question. So.
Yeah, challenge our thinking, challenge our preconceptions. Yeah, I totally agree.
You said it. Yeah.
All right, and in my case, I would give just the whole Topa thing a 10 out of 10, but it wasn't just so the thing that kind of was weak about the episode was how it barely connected with with the archaeological part of the episode. It felt like that kind of went nowhere. So I would give the episode, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, maybe 9.05, just to look cool and be exact, like Spock. So, but yeah, this episode was brilliant. It solicited a lot of emotion from me, more than a lot of even Star Trek episodes. So this really hit home. This was a great. It was another game changing episode. Clyden leaves. Mocklin's.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Friday's a great movie. Clyden leaves, and Topas. Topa's story kind of concludes with that started in About a Girl. So I'm curious, and like we discussed, I'm very interested to see where they decide to take the Mocklin storyline, and heck, where they take Clyden now. Now that Clyden's gone, what's Clyden going to be doing next? Like we said, maybe Clyden will create Division. Maybe they'll do something totally different. Well, who knows? But I can't wait. This was a great character-driven episode. Kelly, this was probably Kelly's best moment, even better than the episode where she plays her and her young self, in my opinion. Like this was
I would say that her best performances is Mad Idolatry and this one. Because without even saying anything, when you can see the weight of religion and war and people dying in her name, how that felt to her, you can actually see it without her even saying anything.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. So that's kind of where I stand, and just want to read some of the scores that we got. So Atheist for the Cause gave this episode a 10 out of 10. Loved the development of Bortus, hearing him sing, doors opened with storylines, humor with Gordon. I loved everything about this episode. That's a good take. And then L. Grantum's Air says 10 out of 10 for me. Story is so good and so character driven. Gives me TOS and TNG vibes. Yes, it does. Especially TNG vibes. But yeah. And Dovius again says, I wish there was more focus on the artifacts. The stuff wasn't just there for no reason. Yeah, exactly. Same here. So, and I don't know who this DJ Ronnie G is, but he says, someone says hashtag Morville.
Yes.
Sounds like a town in central Illinois.
Renewville. Come on.
Hashtag renew the Orville, hashtag Morville, and what L. Grantum's ear says. 7 seasons, 4 movies, and a sequel series for the Orville. Then Orville's going to become a franchise, and you got to be careful with franchises now. Franchises
keep it at the movies. A sequel series, I'm not so sure of.
Maybe they'll do a reboot.
Yeah,
just one reboot.
No
Star
reboot.
Trek, we got Star Trek. We got good sequel series, and then we got Discovery. So you want to be careful. Maybe 4 movies is a good place to end it after the 7 seasons.
No, yeah. I think no. It's a spinoff because this is one of the reasons why Hulu will renew it, because you can build. This is a franchise in its infancy. They have a unique opportunity. It's like if you can go back in time and tell NBC not to cancel Star Trek because it's going to be this big thing. Well, they at that precipice right now where they know it can be the next big thing.
Yeah, whoever at NBC decided to do that's probably one of the biggest regrets of their lives, canceling the original series.
I bet that executive's name was Homer Simpson. Don't.
And this is the watch party menu you can get for the Orville. You got Opsida, Bortus Cactus Bites, Chilean Tequila, Alara's Fried Pickles, Synthesizer Slop.
Cake fine Yaffit.
There's Chilean Tequila. Was that in the season 2?
No, season 1.
Pragus King Cake.
Yeah,
you have to find Yaffit though.
When Lars in command of the Orville, when Ed and Kelly are taken by the Caliban.
Oh yeah, okay. That's when she gets the tequila. Okay, I forgot.
Matter of fact, there's 2. They actually have 2 Chilean drinks. There's Chilean Tequila, and there's also a Chilean Sunset, which is the glasses that have the clouds floating on them, and then you hit them together, and then it goes inside the glass.
Those are cool.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to try the fried pickles. I love fried pickles.
I hate
me too.
pickles.
Yeah.
Jar
Oh,
of
pickles good, dude.
Yeah, totally agree. All right.
When the season 3 started, I had bourbon and pickles.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did. That's right, you did. So we got Jonathan McKnight says 10 out of 10. JP says Morville a lot. Reboot, please no JJ. Reboot, please no JJ Abrams. I don't blame you. Ronnie is triggering all of us with the word reboot. Yeah, freaking Ronnie. Don't give any ideas to Jar Jar Abrams. We need an Orville convention where they sell all the menu items. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Is the
We need
Orville's,
more Orville merch.
Yeah, is the Orville's ID 247? I believe it is. Yeah, or no?
No, that
No.
was
I think it's no. I think it's
that's
one.
the Twitter
one,
creator.
It's 197.
197.
ECD 197.
The number you saw on that watch party menu, that was the creator who made the menu
Oh.
himself.
Okay.
Yeah, follow Orville 247. So, but yeah, other than that, this was a great episode. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next episode. It was. Thanks you guys for coming on and joining me in this conversation. It's 2:30 a.m. here, so let's all get some sleep and enjoy the rest of the week. For me,
well,
Stranger
where-
Things
where
Volume
I
2 is
am-
coming out.
Where I am is 3:36 a.m.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
same.
You're an hour in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So what
I
can
am
you tell
talking
us?
to you from the future.
Does it suck as bad as the present?
It sucks even worse.
Present is a point of view.
Stock up on booze, pickles, and guns.
Won't argue with that.
I don't get why they don't have more Orville merch. Maybe they want fans to make merch instead. I don't know.
I agree.
I
understand though.
I know exactly why they don't have it, because right now the Hulu executives are what they call on the fence. That's why they wait and see how much of us are watching the Orville before they give it another season.
To be fair though, they are having a giveaway for a jacket that they made. It's like an Orville.
Yeah, but what they need
jacket,
to do is they need to learn to read the room and pull the trigger. I'm telling you, if they don't renew the Orville, they're leaving a whole bunch of money on the table.
Yeah, I honestly will be really upset if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So,
And
all right.
we should go as far as say, if they don't renew the Orville, we will all cancel our Hulu subscription.
I will. I mean,
Like,
it's only
That's the
because
only
I'm
reason
using
I
it.
got
Game of
one to
Thrones.
begin with.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 shows on Hulu right now that I'm watching: The Orville and The Old Man.
Oh, the old
yeah,
man's
that's
good.
it.
I have to watch
Yeah,
the
that's
review.
Yeah, the old
watch
man's
your
good.
review on The
It's
Old
like
Man.
John Wick as a grandpa with 2 dogs.
Okay. Okay. Well, definitely, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to watch your review, Mike. Is it spoiler or no? Not spoiler.
I do have some that are spoilers, and then one that's just a recommendation video for The Old
Okay,
Man.
I'll have to watch your recommendation video. So, yeah, I'll look for it. So, all right. So everybody, DJ Ronnie G, Hollywood Scholar, Nate, Spock, and
Dylan.
Mike. Thank you for coming by. Chad, thank you for participating. This was awesome. I can't wait till next week. Last thing I want to do, go around the horn.
Good.
Plug your channel. So, DJ Ronnie G, do you have a channel? Should people subscribe to you?
I
should they subscribe?
sometimes. Oh, I think you should subscribe to me. Well, yes, sir, you are subscribed, aren't you? Oh, of the people, on the other hand.
I'm
Well, you know, I play around with some things, and I recently did a tutorial on how to back up your Nintendo 64 memory cards using this device that doesn't work on modern computers. But I'm gonna do a subsequent tutorial on how to make that work. Other than that, I just try to have fun. I try to, just share the fun, and do the same thing you guys are basically doing. But while I'm, plugging myself, I just wanted to really quickly mention something I noticed early in the episode when what's her name Topa was talking. I noticed there's a voice modulation, and in the pilot episode of Babylon 5, Delenn looked more dudely, as you see on the left side of my image here. And the original intent of the director of B5 was to actually make Delenn go from male to female during her transition instead of the other transition she had. But the reason they didn't do it, amongst many reasons, I mean, it wasn't really a safe thing to do back in the 90s, but one of them was that they couldn't get the voice modulator to work correctly. So are we on the same page? They used the same actress, right? Same actress from the beginning of the episode to the end?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, for this one, yes, but I think in Babylon 5, I think the first Delenn was a different actress.
Got you. Okay, then I'll. You know what? Yeah, he didn't look. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so then, in any case, yeah, this episode of Orville, they used some kind of voice modulation because, I mean, the voice was more feminine at the end. But as for The Gathering, a pilot episode of B5, yeah, I'll investigate that. Thank you, Nate. But yeah. Carry on, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on, and I appreciate the opportunity to plug.
Okay, what about you, Jed, Hollywood Scholar? Do you have something you want to plug?
I do. So, yeah, you can find me on YouTube at The Hollywood Scholar, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that at The Hollywood Scholar. I put out daily videos, pop culture news type stuff, reviews. I'm going to have a review of this up tomorrow as soon as I get it done. And starting a week from today, actually, you can find me over at the Geeks and Gamers tabletop channel where I will be playing Dungeons & Dragons for the very first time over there with them. So, looking forward to that. So, check that out if you D&D fan.
Stay away from the Upside Down.
Plan to.
What about you, Mike? Don't you have a channel?
I do. Pacific 414, where I do episode reviews, movie reviews, live game streams. I also talk pop culture with Pacific 414 Pop Talk every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. And occasionally, when I decide to do it, I recap Chicago Cub games.
All right.
But it's not fun right now to recap those games.
What about you, Nate? You got a channel, right? Well, I just subscribed to you because I found you.
Well, thank you. Well, my channel, I'm working on it. I'm having a major computer issue that I'm hoping to have corrected this Friday. It won't let me. I made a video and it won't let me upload it to YouTube because it says my Windows need to be updated. So every time I go, it says error, updated needed. I was like, what the hell? So I'm gonna. Hopefully that will be fixed Friday. I will go and get the Windows 11 and update it on Friday. And then I'm making a video. It's entitled. Be looking for. I'll put it on my Twitter too. Be looking for a video titled "Open Letter to Hulu."
Okay. What about you, Spock? Don't you have a channel too? Or do you just serve as science officer on board?
No, I just eat Plomex soup. But
that's it.
Yeah, but no, we got Ryza. Ryza event is here. The Ryza summer event is back on Star Trek Online, so we're gonna be streaming that tomorrow. Mike is invited to join, as well as you are, Brian, and anyone else here on the panel. If you play Star Trek Online, you're more than welcome to join. But we're just gonna be going on the planet Ryza and doing a bunch of the mini games, which is basically Horgon hunting. We also do artifact hunting, and there's a bunch of other cool mini games like powerboard racing, so we can just race across the ocean and get some cool prizes. But yeah, we're gonna be just doing that and streaming that, and they've released a new ship, which we're also gonna be talking about the episode Encounter at Farpoint. So that's gonna be the main topic for tomorrow, since the new ship they're releasing is the jellyfish from Encounter at Farpoint. So you're able to actually fly that and shoot lasers, whatever you want. So it's gonna be fun to play with that thing. Just to come on by at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So yeah.
Will Grappler Zorn be there?
I think actually, yeah, they're releasing an outfit for Grappler Zorn, so you can make yourself look like him.
We did nothing wrong. We fed them. Yeah, barely. You have energy in plenty. Jerks. Freaking
So yeah, if you want to come by, make sure to if you already remember that episode like me, then no need to rewatch it. But it is a forgetful episode for some people because it's one of the cheesiest ones.
Well, you see, for me, Star Trek Next Generation has a special place in my heart because I grew up a Star Trek fan watching reruns of the original Star Trek. But when Star Trek The Next Generation debuted in 1988, it was on September the 28th, 1988, my 16th birthday.
I thought it was 87.
No, it was 88.
I swear,
87.
It was 87. It was 87.
No, it was 88. Okay, I'll double check.
Sorry, Atheist, you're right.
When it comes
It's
to
9
years,
p.m.
I'm,
Eastern.
I'm nuts about that. When movies or shows come out, I'm nuts about that. Don't ask me why. But yeah, okay, great.
Okay, you're right. It's 87.
All right.
Okay, you're right. I stand corrected.
Okay. But yeah, once again, everybody, thank you. Subscribe to all these gentlemen right here. This was a great show. And if you like me, if you like the sound of my voice, and like these after shows, subscribe to me if you're new here. So stuff that's coming up for me. Video projects I'm currently working on. I'm working on a review for the first half of Better Call Saul. So episodes 1 through 7. So hopefully get that out before the second half of the final season premieres. I will be doing an after show when it premieres. I've been doing it I've been doing after show for this show. I've been doing after show also for Better Call Saul. Except Better Call Saul comes out, at prime time, so I don't have to wait till really late to do an after show. So, but if you watch Better Call Saul, come on by. The last episode was big time. The last episode was big time. I got like 80 people watching because people just couldn't get enough of hearing other people's thoughts. So I had my biggest stream that day. So, but my other video project I'm working on is a retrospective for the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. That's the Zelda game for the N64, for the N64, the first 3D one. And it might be my favorite video game of all time. It probably had the most impact on me, and it got me really, really roiled me down into getting into fantasy. So I think the reason why I was so big into Lord of the Rings when they came out was because I played Ocarina of Time. So that should be. I'm still in the process of writing it. I want to make that my magnum opus of retrospectives. So to make it like an epic, like one of those old epic movies, intermission and all. So it's gonna be long. It's gonna be awesome and epic. So
cool.
And then
I like what the atheist said.
I wonder if
Derulio's
coming
we're gonna
back
get Rob Lowe.
Artifacts. Probably. Who knows?
What if Derulio shows up pregnant? It is an alien species.
Yep. I wouldn't mind. It's be funny.
Yeah. And we know that Ed's not shooting blanks.
Yeah. So, going back to myself. One other thing I'm going to be doing on Friday is I'm going to be the next volume or the next half of Stranger Things comes out July 1st. So I'm going to be doing a stream. I'm going to be doing a stream with a few other content creators talking about the last 2 episodes, which are going to equal 4 hours long between the 2 of them. The finale is going to be 2.5 hours long. That final episode. So can't wait to see it. This if you watch Stranger Things 4, it's the best season in my opinion. It's the most
by far
the highest of stakes. As I've ever seen.
If they ended the season with this one, they know there was all. They would have ended it on a high note because this is damn near a perfect season.
Yes, and I'm just there is going to be one more season. There's going to be a season 5. So I'm curious if season 4 is going to end on a cliffhanger, like Empire Strikes Back or something. We'll see. In a couple
they
days.
said there will be a high body count, is what the director said. And
they did.
In season 4 finale, yeah, they said there was going to be a high body count.
All right, I'm gonna look. And I need to look and confirm this now right away. So, but yeah. So if you're watching Stranger Things, come on by on Friday. Probably gonna be 8 p.m. Central. We're gonna be talking about it for a couple hours. So can't wait for that. And then after that, as Captain Picard says it in All Good Things, sky's the limit. So another Trek. I'm gonna probably do another Trek Boreal pretty soon. I'll keep you up to date on that one, and that's it from me. So, once again, everybody, this is where I'm going to close out the stream with long and prosper, and then in Orville terms, Jaloja. So,
Jaloja.
And always remember, let your geek flag fly.
There you go. Other than that, everybody, may the wings of your Orioles carry you all to happiness and the next episode of the Orville New Horizons. Take care.